Hello! Ah, the heady days of yore in Poundland, when it was full of knock-off action figures. There were Galaxy Empire, those fake Star Wars funds I've shown you before. There was fake Witchblade figures. There were fake Tekken 3 figures I've mentioned before. And all sorts of other fake figures that I have probably forgotten, because it was bloody years ago. But, using the power of eBay, I have hunted out one of these great lost cheapy, nasty, knockoff action figure brands. And by hunted out, I mean the person selling them contacted me on Twitter. Yes, sellers know their audience. I present to you, for your delectation, the Power Slayer. Down, 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 down. Which I think is how the theme tune to Buffy The Vampire Slayer began. Can't remember now. It was very guitar-y, I'm sure. Right, the Power Slayer. But how do we know it's based on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, eh? Are we just so intelligent we can read the subtext? Or maybe we've spotted the giant picture of Sarah Michelle Gellar's face from the television programme stuck illegally on the packaging. Yeah, that'll be it. And although it doesn't specifically mention the word vampire, there's one on the left in order to destroy any imagination you may be wanting to use. Yes, it's just the Power Slayer. She slays power. Maybe she's the person who keeps stealing the electrical copper cabling between Norwich and London on the train tracks. If so, I hope she dies a horrible death as slowly as possible. Anyway, rest of the packaging, there's more stolen artwork, this time from a comic book where she is inexplicably shooting a laser out of her hand. I don't know. And, don't know if you can see here, there is a very generic action figure logo with a very generic superhero. Presumably it's Captain Generic, the hero who does things, but never specifies what they are. What's on the back of the package? Naff all, except the address for Funtastic, this being one of the first things they imported from my memory. I mean, as in, I only remember this being the first thing they imported, not that they import things from my memory. That would be weird. So yes, this is clearly based on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a series I never really got into or understood. I watched a few episodes, but the sort of strange mix of low-rent horror and, well, soap opera really kind of put me off. It always felt very girly to me. I don't know, it's probably the girliest thing I've ever seen. Even girlier than Rainbow Bright riding a My Little Pony over a rainbow made of vajazzle kits, whilst wearing uncomfortable shoes. Anyway, shall we have a look at the figure? I'm sure it'll be beautiful. If you believe that, then you obviously weren't looking at it earlier. And rip, tear, rend! She's out! Oh dear. Oh, God, it's horrible. It's all sticky. That's not a good start. I don't know if it's sort of reacted in the packet over the years. Strange, heavy, rubbery plastic with weird cut joints that means she has to sit with her legs apart. Let's not put too much thought into that. Yeah, this is not the most realistic of figures. I hope Sarah Michelle Gellar has never seen this, because she probably wouldn't survive the shock. Dressed in a t-shirt and very weird boots and a pair of jeans, I think. Here she is in her spine-defying glory. Just look at that. Incidentally, if you're at home... Oh dear. If you're at home and your arm is doing that, you should probably be at the hospital. Also, if your breasts are strangely globular and stick out a mile, you should probably also go and see a doctor, especially if you're a man. Yes, it's a horrible thing to touch. It's so... Oh, it feels almost sort of gooey. It's actually made more of a rubber than a plastic. And let's have a look at the face, shall we? Because we can't avoid it. It's a bit like the elephant in the room, the hideous elephant in the room. Sort of misplaced eyes, completely dead looking. I'll tell you what, actually, rather than being Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this looks like the corpse of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which has become bloated over a few weeks of rotting. There's a beautiful image for you. Let's look at what weapons she comes with. Oddly, they've stayed completely true to the television series on the weapons, because of course she was always using a flamethrower that's strapped to her arm, and a lobster claw and a stick. Famous for it. Actually, I think all she had in the programme was like a stake, which is just a pointed stick. So yeah, I can understand them adding some more interesting accoutrements for enticing the kids to buy it in Poundland, but somehow, lobster claw and a stick doesn't really work for me. I mean, well, at least she can hold it, I suppose. What's she going to do? Go and crack open tins or something? And then cook the contents with her laser. That's it, Buffy the Vampire Chef. Do, 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 do. Flambe! Open tin. Drop flamethrower. Oh, it's exploded. The end. There we are, that was actually better than most of the scripts of Doctor Who these days. Right, but there wasn't just one Power Slayer, there were 4 different varieties, or flavours as I'll be calling them for local colour. We also had this one, sort of weird, dirty, blonde Vampire Slayer, where she's wearing sort of a black dress and red tights and little black ballet shoe things. Exactly the same weapons coming with it, obviously. How can you improve on perfection? Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Is that where she's supposed to be evil or something, has turned into a vampire? Or was just wearing a bad dress and fucked her hair up accidentally? I've got no idea. And I don't care, because we've got one now where she's got flames drawn on her crotch. Let's not spend too much time thinking about that. Again, a bit dirty blonde. Got boots with flames on. Look, ooh, how exciting. Different weaponry. A laser cannon and a giant weird-shaped sword. Again, straight out of absolutely nothing that's ever existed. And finally, we've got Anime Power Slayer. I'm reliably, or semi-reliably informed, this is based on Cutie Honey's costume. The Cutie Honey's costume appeared to be designed to show as much breast as possible while still technically covering the nipples. Also, shiny metallic pink hair, weird silver, well, everything, boots, gloves, the works. And her weapons, inexplicably, are a big spiked ball attached to a bone, and a rifle that seems to be covered, and in fact partially made out of, the bones of some alien. So I don't know if that's a Cutie Honey thing. It seems unlikely. I think it's just these are things they found on the floor of the warehouse when they were making the figure. So there you go. That is the Power Slayer, Buffy from an alternate dimension. A slightly disturbing and rubbery alternate dimension which probably doesn't bear thinking about too much. Aha! Yes, I spent the whole of that trying to remember the name of the spin-off series from Buffy, and it was called Angel, starring, I can't remember his name, David Boring Beans or something, an actor truly remarkable for his complete inability to move any muscle in his face, as far as I can tell. Oh, well, whatever you think of Buffy and Angel and all that, it did pave the way for Joss Whedon to create Firefly, which is one of the greatest things in the history of the world. So, it's all good. And that's that lot cleared away, and time for that other Poundland stand-in of fake wrestling figures. Oh, they love these, they do. And I haven't seen these ones myself, but they were sent to me by a donator, bless their hearts. Welcome to the world of World Championship Wrestlers. Every single one of them a world champion. How would that work? Yeah, I'm immediately struck by the complete lack of knowledge of basic human anatomy on display for these figures, but let's have a quick look at the packaging such as it is. I've never actually looked at the packaging for something before and seen almost nothing on it. A to Z, World Champion Wrestlers, 0-3 sad onions, this packaging is not part of the toy, almost blank back. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? And yes, 2 wrestlers, the only accessories being a bloody great belt each, which is clearly too large for them. Let's open them up and look. Come out, wherever you are. Well, I can see where you are because the packaging is transparent. Okay, wrestler number 1. This is what happens if you're punched in the face too many times by a steamroller. He looks very, very ill, or very, very angry, or very, very like he's having some chewing tobacco. Yeah, not great figure. Oh, they're very brittle and nasty. Quite impressed that he's managed to find both shoes and socks, which are exactly the same colour as his flesh. I bet he had them custom made. And he's just wearing a vest and a pair of crap green pants, and he's got 2 holes in his back from where he was executing a gangland-style murder. Yeah, that's really not a good face, is it? It looks like Popeye's less attractive brother. But not to worry. He's still a world champion, because he's got his belt, which is shiny and far better made than the figure. And the other one seems to be some kind of version of Andre the Giant. You remember Andre the Giant? He was the one who kept doing this all the time. That's why he had a posse. Good God. Look at the spindly legs on this thing. Giant mutant arms. His eyes are falling out of his head. Well, no, technically, actually, not his eyes falling out of his head, just his retinas. His retinas have escaped from his eyes and are rolling down his face. That's not an image I wish to harbour. But hey, I didn't want to ever sleep again. Sort of strange purple long johnsies. Oh, there's something written. Can you make that out on camera? I can barely see it to the naked eye. It says belt. He's written the word belt above his belt. Is that how stupid he is? He has to write belt above where his belt goes? Or he'll forget and wear it between his toes or something? No idea. Come on, let's have a quick wrestling match. Nope. I'm pretty sure that actually if I keep those in frame together for too much longer, the lens will catch fire. Right, let's put this belt on then. Belt up. You obviously want it because you've written it on yourself, you freak. This is clearly too large, isn't it? This is almost actually in scale of the other wrestling figures I've looked at, all of which were considerably larger. I can't do it up. Nope, it doesn't fit through the loop. Genius. If I pull really hard and nearly destroy it, he's got it on, look. Dun 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 dun. He is now the World Wrestling Champ. You can tell by the way he's got this giant back brace. Oh dearie me, off you go and look at the next two in the set. Collect all 10. Ugh. 10 wrestlers, that is, not 10 packs. That would be mortifying. You will notice a pattern emerging. The pattern is, this figure looks vaguely human, this one has weird spindly legs. Also, all of them come with a championship belt. When it says world champion wrestlers, they're literally all world champions. How does that work? Anyway, wow. So times like this I wish I knew another language, because they might have a word to describe that. There isn't one in English, I don't think. He's tried to make his own tie-dye t-shirt out of bleach and soot, drawn some crosses on his groin, and got the world's worst facial hair. I thought I saw some crazy facial hair going to recent anime conventions, but this one really takes the biscuit. It looks like he's covering something up, like a mutant chin. He's also looking at his own hand in a really suspicious way. Maybe he's got alien limb syndrome. That would be a cool wrestling match. And the other one's Mr. Generic with red pants, possibly loosely based on Ivan Drago from that Rocky film, as portrayed by Dolph Lundgren. Who knows? Who cares? Not me. I want to see different wrestlers. And here we go. Yep, one of my favourite things about wrestling is there's always a bad guy who's had his face cut off. Look, his entire skull has been skinned, and the blood has poured down his shirt. It's absolutely horrifying. And his trousers have caught measles. What on earth is going on? Look at it. Oh, help me. Kill me. Kill me. And the other one has, like, tried to reenact some sort of traditional Japanese face paint using Tipp-Ex and a marker pen. And he's also drawn a snake on his body to show how cool he is. Notice that he seems to be looking at the other one as if it's meant to say, my God, the killer has struck again. Maybe I am next. Also, wrestling. Next. Oh my goodness, this is a scene of absolute frickin' carnage here. Blimey. This chap's head has come off, and he is screaming in terror and agony. Meanwhile, he has noticed and is also screaming in terror, and I can't say I blame him. Something of interest, though, his legs are different to the others. Look, he's just wearing normal jeans. Perhaps he's just his brother who came along to cheer him on, then his head came off. And things were never the same again, as they rarely are after a decapitation. Also, his top of his body trouser area there is green, the rest of it is black, as if they've put on the ones from a wrong figure. Most strange of all, though, is this man's t-shirt, where it basically looks like he's let a snail crawl all over him. He's got the most horrifying mutant face as well. Look at that. Sloth love Chunk. Well, he did love Chunk until Chunk's head came off. I mean, that is a look of pure horror, terror, and imminent death, isn't it? Dearie me. It's reminded me of Christmas, actually. But not to fear, we've got 2 more wrestlers. And what is the deal with there always being one of these wrestling figures that has a head almost exactly like this, wearing goggles and a mohawk? No idea. He's wearing a crap waistcoat which has just been literally painted on him, and I don't know what's gone on with this bloke. He's got the worst haircut since anyone who's ever lived, the worst eyebrows in the history of the universe. His eyes are looking down as if he's got a fly on his nose. Actually, he might have a fly on his nose. There's a speck of dirt or something on it. And he's covered in some kind of white, lumpy fluid. Right, what's the next figure? Oh, it's our old friends, Stop versus Scum. You may remember these, or possibly you don't. I don't know what's in your brain. That would be weird, and also probably beyond current technology. Basically, it's the Special Tactics Operative Patrol versus Street Coalition Urban Militia. Stop a good, scum a bad. Easy. This is Tank. Or as he's known to his friends, Tanaka Bear. What? Real name, Tanaka Bear? That's not a real name. Anyway, these are obviously G.I. Joe rip-offs, and as a result, they give you a little profile to read about them, as if they were real people. You know, real people called Tanaka Bear. Right. Military training, ex-US Marine Corps Special Operations, MARSOC. Specialty, heavy weaponry, explosives, and demolition. They never have specialty like knitting and macrame, do they? Tank saw extensive action in both the cartel narco wars, and the Armageddon War of the Middle East. Descended from a long line of Cheyenne dog soldiers, his Native American warrior blood runs strong in his veins. An incredible tracker, hunter, survivalist, and master of guerrilla warfare. If you've so much as seen a Native American in your entire life, if they make an action figure of you, you have to be an incredible tracker, hunter, and survivalist. It also goes for characters in films. He wants to be the first to go in, and is usually the last to leave. Perhaps he's just really slow and doesn't want to be late, and then just takes ages to get out. Tank joined forces with Stop, Special Tactics Officer Patrol, to help re-establish order in the streets and battle the anarchy being spearheaded by Scum, Street Coalition Urban Militia. The anarchy being spearheaded. When you say anarchy, do you just mean a system of government with no defined leaders? And in fact, he's just trying to re-establish order. The Nazi order! Dun dun dun! Yes, I've completely rewritten it and filled in details that weren't there. Anyway, let's have a proper look at the figure for Tank. I'm trying not to look at its eyes. The company that make these figures have also made another thing called Fight Club, I reviewed once, which was the most frightening thing ever. And, well, they try. They do try. They just don't try hard enough. The guns are stuck to the hands, which is a Stop versus Scum feature, and probably not a bad idea if you're giving it to young kids. Not that you would give it to young kids, because these small parts would break off and lodge in their throat within 0.4 of a femtosecond of them looking at the packet. The arms move in weird ways. The sculpting is a bit sort of... Well, it's all right, actually, the sculpting. It's more the low-quality plastic they make it out of that's the problem. Everything just... Look how rubbery the legs are. If somebody was called Tank, they would not have the nickname Tank if they had rubber legs. Oh, God, I can't put it off any longer. We're going to have to look past his shoulder armour and weird bandana thing and look at his eyes. Let's see how close I can bring him in while the focus maintains. Ooh, very close, as it turns out. Which is impressive with the wide-angle lens. Yes... He's got two eyes in one socket. Somehow, I don't think he would have the name Tank, would he? He would have the name Mutant, or the name Terrifying Creature from a Lovecraft story that has come to eat your children's faces. Two eyes in one socket, and every single one of his three eyes pointing a different way. Perhaps he can see through time. Actually, I reckon he can't see at all and just has a permanent headache. He's probably the only person who can actually play a Virtual Boy and not feel ill. Anyway, that's enough cheap action figures for the time being, until after Christmas when I've got a huge stack of military ones to go through, some of which give me the fear.